Let's learn something really quick.
If you got the time, absolutely. And you got the discipline, there's no question about it.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great practice to put into your everyday life, you guys.
You generally regret the things you don't do, not the things you did do. Let me say it that way.
Mic drop. This was just awesome. I love meeting my guests in person, and it's a whole nother animal, and the energy is just electric. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. And we're back with an incredible episode with guests all around the world. Today, we're going to welcome an incredible woman. As you can tell, she's stunning. She is a model, entrepreneur, advocate for destigmatizing the sex work industry with an MBA and a pilot. Please welcome Amy Taylor. Amy, welcome to the show.
Hi, so good to see you.
That's quite the list of experience that you have under your belt.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, I didn't do the two main things people do. I didn't ever get married and I didn't ever have kids. I'm not against those things.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out that way. So that kind of freed up a lot of time.
I was going to say that gives you like kind of like you can do whatever the heck you want to do. Like, you know, and why not achieve things when you have all that time on your hands?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get up in the morning, and I think next lifetime I'll join the sorority of mothers and do that. My sister's got a bunch of kids, so I get to be the cliche aunt in Manhattan and, you know, that whole thing. Have a little dog, live in the city, you know, it's a total stereotype. But yeah, my mom's dad was a pilot, so I think maybe it was in the blood. The first time I ever did it, I was like, oh, this is for me.
Yeah.
And, I did it as a hobby, and then I wanted to fly bigger, faster stuff, and I wanted somebody else to pay for the fuel and the time. So I did it for a living because it's ludicrously expensive to bigger stuff as a hobby. I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah. My girlfriend has a private jet company where she manages planes for like, you know, very wealthy people. In my previous life, we used to fly private here and there. And I've always wanted to like learn how to fly a plane. I think that would be a great skill to have.
Yeah. I have a few exes who were quite wealthy. We either did NetJets, a couple of them owned. The 100-hour card is $1 million. It's basically 10 to 12 grand an hour for like a light jet, like the Latitude or the Longitude. I don't have that kind of cash.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be in the front. Whereas most of these super wealthy, busy type of guys, they want to be in back, working, relaxing. They have no interest in being the Uber driver.
No.
But I think like the physics and the science of it.
Yeah.
The thread of my life has been a lot of doing what girls shouldn't do, or I think that's a rebellious thing of if you tell me women can't do it or shouldn't do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Like my undergrad was in molecular biology at Berkeley. I worked in biotech. I wasn't very good at it and I didn't like it, but it was kind of cool to me to like do something that women didn't do. And then I found out I was kind of bad at it and I hated it. Pivoted, MBA, pilot. I wanted to live a man's life in a woman's body. And I did.
Yeah. I want to kind of move into something a little bit more controversial. Because I like controversy. We like to talk about the juicy stuff. I think I've talked about it many times on my show and other shows that I am a survivor of sex work, sex trafficking, whatever you want to call it, because that falls under that. And so you are an advocate, and we're going to use that term loosely, just for for discussion, right? Destigmatizing the sex work industry. So what does that mean?
Well, so it's a huge industry full of lots of different things. OnlyFans, recent but massive. Dominatrixes, phone sex. Does anybody still do that? I think it is.
I have no idea.
And services, some of which are legals in places, some of which are criminalized in other places. It was a term coined to get everybody together to try to get some advocating power but it's not a monolith. There's everything from people who are, I know, thousands retired mostly now at our age, who are fine and had a great time for a little while, paid for grad school or whatever they were doing. Some of them married their clients. Most people only do it for a little while, get in, get out. It's not a big deal. However, sometimes it's really bad. There's coerced labor, what you went through, pimps who profit off you, web people who steal all your money and are awful to you. I've encountered that. I put a pimp in prison. In my opinion, the only good pimp is a dead pimp. And I know people disagree with me. Don't care. Don't add me, internet. I don't care what you think. So yeah, those are labor issues in my opinion, but they're a massive industry. However, those issues, there are labor abuses on shrimp boats and in housekeeping.
In every industry. And what happens is
when the industry is shoved underground, people like to think they sort of got rid of it. Well, they didn't. They shove it into like chica bars in Houston that are secret and have a password, and behind there is a brothel full of underage women trafficked from across the border. Or in Koreatown, where I used to live in LA for 24 years, and there's massive underground stuff going on, and it's not great.
No.
That said, there are many women in this who don't want to be told that the state owns their body, don't want to be told that they don't own their own mind.
Right. Yeah.
And if they do like dating a couple billionaires while they're getting through law school, I don't happen to believe that that is a sin or a crime. The issue is coercion. The issue is consent. And it's very important to tease apart when somebody feels like it's work, they are being treated fairly, it's a choice among what's available to them for a while or for a long time, whatever.
Yeah.
Versus when they don't feel like they're empowered. And I reject the notion that we view it specially and then we don't ban other forms of work because they have massive labor issues. The garment industry, people are being treated horribly all over the world. Well, we don't outlaw the clothing industry. We try to make it better.
Yeah.
Because it's sex and that makes people wildly uncomfortable. I'm not sure why. Everybody feels
Why either. Yeah.
That's how we all got here. We all got here because your mom fucked your dad, folks. Get over it. I mean, I don't want to talk about our parents fucking. That's super weird. I love you, mom and dad. Not what I want to think about. But like, we do have sex. We are a sexually reproducing species. And so I get email and text every day from like people who think sex should only be monogamous, only in love, only for the production of children. Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe it should be.
Yeah.
But it ain't.
Right.
And I'm far more interested in the world that is versus some utopian world that never will be. And I do know that, for instance, we have great data in Calcutta where they decriminalized. The HIV rate is going down every single year. Why? Because sex workers feel free to carry condoms when they're not used as evidence in court cases. They feel at liberty to demand safer stuff.
Yeah.
They have more power over clients because they have more clients. Their work is legal. Clients don't say to them, if you don't take the condom off, I'll report you to the cops. So do what I want, bitch.
My goodness.
Workers feel more empowered in a decriminalized environment. You see disease rate go down. And even if you hate sex work, hate sex workers, hate their clients, you have to acknowledge that it's not an island.
Right.
The in-person stuff where they're having actual sex, diseases transfer into homes, into your neighbors. They don't just stay in some island. So even if you think sex workers should all just die, that's going to affect non-sex workers too.
Right.
So if you're driven by a desire to spite and punish, not you, but one, if one is driven by a desire to spite and punish, societies will never get anywhere. We have to lead with logic rather than hysteria.
Yeah.
And that's very hard to do when the subject matter is sex because it makes people feel some kind of way.
And it's really only here in the US because if you go to Europe and other countries, it's a lot more acceptable and not as judged as it is here.
And there's problems. Look, the FKK clubs in Germany, they're massive trafficking and abuses. The women that are brought there to work are often not paid fairly. They are often pimped. There are massive labor problems. However, they work on them as labor problems. In Belgium, they're allowed to like unionize, get benefits, healthcare. Their healthcare providers are not allowed to deny them. In America, you try telling your insurance company that you're a sex worker, you will lose your health insurance immediately.
And too, though, they get very good. They get benefits there too.
Yeah, in New Zealand, they're allowed to sue their clients in court if they try to rip them off and not pay them.
Oh, okay. I'm learning some stuff today.
Well, I mean, the brothel models in Australia are not perfect. You can read on like Twitter and other places where women complain about their treatment in brothels that is often not great. It's complicated, like so many things.
Yeah.
What happened to you is the end of the spectrum that is very bad. I had a pimp come after me, demand I work for him. I'm a little feisty. I told him to go fuck himself. Yeah, that was a bad idea. He then tried to ruin my life and to some extent did. I sued him and won, and then I put him in prison. It's a long story. His name's David Elms. If you Google David Elms murder, you can read about it. That was me. He tried to kill. Those kind of people are very bad, but those kind of people are emboldened by pushing the industry underground. If it was a regular industry with real competition, real companies, it'd be more competitive, and people like David Elms would not have been able to compete. Yeah. I guess they would have gone into something else, drugs or guns or who knows, but they wouldn't have been selling women or trying to.
Right.
And trying to just kill us when we refused.
Yeah. Is that why you're so passionate about being an advocate in a healthy way for this industry?
Well, look, I know the problems. I mean, we don't all like each other. Some of the girls, I don't like them. They don't like me. I don't care. I want them to live. That's it. I want them to live because they're usually young and poor. They usually retire and do other things. They become business owners, wives, mothers, lawyers, whatever. And I don't want the young and the poor to die because of what they did when they were broke for a little while, usually.
Yeah.
So, yes, I want it to be better for those than it was for me. And I don't always like sex work. There's a lot of problems, as I just talked about. A lot of the people are full of trauma and they're not very nice. Some of my colleagues, you try to talk to them and they're instantly leading with anger and fury. And that's because of the trauma.
Yeah. Right.
Saying that, I love them anyway. I don't care. They call me a privileged snob. Yeah, that's probably true. But I just want it to be better because I don't believe the marginalized, vulnerable, and poor should die because they were trying to survive.
Yeah.
I just don't believe. And if you do believe that, then you're a terrible person who I can't reason with.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. Well, I love that you're so passionate about that and you want to offer like help or advice. Do you ever connect with women that are in this industry now to help like maybe guide them?
Sure. I don't mentor people. First of all, that would be illegal. I also don't want part of anybody's career. And the truth is, well, I usually ignore young women who message me, which they do every week. But if they really want to ask me for help getting in this, my honest advice is to choose something else. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Even if you survive it, like I sort of have, somewhat scathed, but still here. I don't recommend it. Learn some tech skills. You'll have a longer career.
Yeah.
Stigma and shame, even if you get really lucky and you only have great clients and you're okay, it's hard. It's just too hard. It's not long-term. It's not a great decision.
Oh, for sure.
But I
Definitely.
understand when you're telling somebody who can't afford groceries that they should just do something else. Well, that's an easy thing to say, but when somebody's literally hungry,
Yeah.
who the fuck am I now who can pay my rent to tell somebody that? I remember what it was like to not have $20, to not be able to take money out of the ATM. I remember that. And when you're telling somebody to do something else and their alternative is getting evicted, they're not going to really listen to you.
Yeah.
So we do other things. I was really proud in Southern California with my best friend who's an elected official. We found out that a lot of the street-based sex workers, when they have an arrest record, they cannot get a job. No one will hire them. They look at the table at them and they go, "You're just a whore."
Yep.
And so they give up and they return to street-based sex work, which long-term almost never ends well.
Which is very sad.
Yeah, it's awful. So we found out, we worked with the city and some of the big companies that need workers badly, and the community college there, which had huge poverty problems. 20% of the students there were homeless. And these are people trying to make their lives better, get an associate's degree, develop a career. They're not just giving up, they're trying, but they're homeless.
But yeah, we can hand out checks for all these other people living on the system, having kids, one kid after the other with multiple dads. But we can't help, young people trying to get through school and keep them afloat so that they do survive.
Well, and it wasn't necessarily just the money. The crux was they needed, for instance, if they're homeless, they needed to be able to charge. They needed to be able to use the gym showers to clean up, go to school class and go to job interviews. But they needed to be able to sleep in their car in the parking lot if they didn't have a home. We made all that legal, that they could not be punished for those that they needed when they were unhoused. And it deals with the local big employers who expunge and wipe the records of prostitution arrests so that they could get jobs. And we have many, many cases of former street-based workers who now have six-figure jobs, benefits, they can support their children, they're fine, and they're doing great. And the crux was letting them become part of society. And the conditions were the degree has to get finished, you have to not return to it, sobriety, if drugs were an issue, all those, there were conditions on stealing records and letting them get a job. But we have seen great success if you tell people they're not a pariah and give them a chance. Many of them want badly to take it. But if you tell them they're a trash person who deserves nothing forever because they did this thing, they give up, and guess what they return to?
Yeah. Yeah. And then they usually don't survive.
No, they usually don't.
Yeah. And it's really sad that, instead of empowering someone that had to do what they had to do, we want to nail them to the cross, right? I had several ladies that I knew back in the day that became lawyers through college, and so like there's I love that you want to destigmatize that. Like, you know, my worst experience through that was the boyfriend that abducted me and beat the crap out of me, and all the like being exposed to drugs, because I had never did any drugs or drank anything in high school. I was super clean, nerdy girl, like wanted to like I was a total nerd. And so like I had an abusive father, so I repeated the pattern. I got an abusive boyfriend, and then like he was the worst part of all that, but I was able to buy my home. I still own my house. It's rented out. I was able to help my mom buy her house and like really support my family for many years. And so like I turned the negative into a positive, and then I put myself through therapy. I knew like if I continued down the path like this and doing the drugs and all that, I was not going to survive. And so you just have to like that. For me, I personally wanted to turn my life around, and so I did. And you know, it's all the rest is history.
Why do you think you didn't lose your will to live and give up? What was that?
Because I'm a fighter for sure. I'm a total fighter. Yeah, I'm a feisty bitch too. And I was like you know, I just have like this insatiable will to live, you know, and like even though I did all those things,
Gives me chills. Yes.
you know, and it's just like there's just so much to experience in life, and just because you're dealt a bad deck at first doesn't mean that you can't change the game, right? You have control over how you want that game to end, and you can win. So
That kind of self-love, because that's what it is. It's deciding to love yourself even if your father didn't love you properly. He loved you the way he knew how, which was super shitty. God knows what happened to him, probably. Not expecting it. But you decide to end the cycle and love yourself.
Yeah.
And that kind of love spreads to other people, because when you live that way, you show other people that they can.
yeah,
It's infectious.
you hope so. You hope so.
And there are cases where we've tried to help people and they're just giving up. They're committing suicide on layaway, and you lose the battle. You can't help people who will not help themselves. That does exist.
Yeah. Oh, I see it in my own family. So like
Sure.
I'm still like exercising that self-love where I will not participate in toxicity anymore. Not this point in my life. You know,
What you know about Label Free is you talk about it. My ex was a very successful CFO. 25 years earlier, he was a convicted felon for embezzlement because of a cocaine habit, right?
Oh.
Started stealing, finance guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was on the beach. His family had given up on him because he was also stealing from them. They tried to help, you know, that standard story. And he was on the beach, and he was laying there starting to be homeless. And, you know, he was going to end up a statistic.
Yeah.
He got sand fleas, and he said, I cannot live this way anymore. I have fleas. And he went to church, and that's not for everybody, but that was his way, and Alcoholics Anonymous. And he gave himself up to a higher power and said, I can't do this alone. And 25 years later, he was the CFO of a major company. Sobriety was the key, obviously, and a lot of hard work and a lot of honesty about, you know, he did a lot of journaling and therapy, as we said.
Yeah.
It's never too late
Yeah.
to change if you're still on the right side of the dirt.
Yeah.
And I believe like you, we can't give up.
No.
I wish people wouldn't.
I love that. That's a great example of just like what the human spirit can survive. Wherever you're at in your journey, you're struggling, you can always turn it around. The struggle is part of the process. Like,
It's actually important. When you take off in a plane, I like to fly planes, you take off into the wind.
Yeah.
It's cliche, people have said, smarter than me have said it better, but you actually need the pressure to soar. And, you know, it's not fun. The hard chapters, totally not fun. But they're the ones that make you better. A life of ease, which we all crave, actually makes you like lazy and crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's how a diamond is made, under pressure.
Totally, right? It's super not fun though. We don't like those parts of our lives.
I like at this point though, if I'm going through a hard time after everything I've been through, I just know that on the other side of that, there's something better waiting for me. Like I'm going through a growth period. And so like, that's what I try to tell anybody that's close to me, that like a girlfriend that's going through a hard time. Like this is a time for you to really embrace this part of your journey and see what is this trying to teach you? What do you need to learn from this to take away from? Something great is going to be on the other side of this. You just got to buckle up, embrace the ride, and just know that it's going to come to an end. It's not forever. So yeah, that's what I try to tell myself these days when I'm going through something. Because like, yeah, life isn't perfect. Let me tell you something. This is the best my life's ever been. I'm extremely happy. and I love what I do every day. But challenges come up, and so I just gotta embrace it. Okay, I'm ready.
And what do they say? Man plans, God laughs. So it's always the stuff you didn't see coming. And look, with respect to sex work, do I wish for a world where it didn't exist? Yeah, maybe. But we all know that's probably not reality. So
No.
while we talked about tough stuff makes you better, when stuff is too tough, I've seen what trauma can do to people. They escape through drugs, or look, I had clients who wanted me to do drugs with them. One actually said, I want you to be my little coke, because I want you to be addicted to me. And when I call, I want you to jump. And that scared the shit out of me. He snitched on himself, right? He wanted to get me addicted so he could control me. And at least he admitted it. Obviously, I didn't do that. And
God.
as you know, some people want to put you through tough stuff to either break you, because that's their or to see if trauma can make you like yourself less, so you're weaker. And yeah, it's not positive tough stuff. They want to harm you.
What is next for you, Amy? Because you've done so much. I don't know what else is there.
No, I'm slowly adding my rotorcraft rating if I can. I'm going to be 48 at the end of this year. It turns out I inherited my dad's not perfect heart, so I don't know if I can keep passing class 1. But if not, that's okay. The class 2 and 3 don't require an EKG. So I'm flying for pay, might be over soon, but
Wow.
I wasn't getting rich off it. And flying for a hobby I can do until I'm quite old. So we'll see how that goes with the Oklahoma City FAA and my heart. But knock on wood, none of us are immortal. It'll take me a couple of years to add the rotorcraft rating. I'm enjoying it. It's very difficult airspace here in New York. It's just as fast-paced and difficult as the ground in New York. I'll continue to model. I still get asked every day. I do the shoots when I can. I'm shocked that they want somebody at my age, but there is quite a big, they call it gray modeling. I hate the name, but there's quite a big genre for older ladies modeling. And for the people who hate that, I say cry more. I'm going to do it. And if it makes you mad, that's a you problem.
I love it. I love that we're slowly starting to embrace women as we not necessarily age, but as we get more refined. I'm 48. So my birthday's in a week. So, or we can. So and I'm very proud to talk about that. I am not ashamed of my age. I've enjoyed my life and getting older, my experience. And I don't think I should be ashamed for that. My grandmother was freaking 23 until she died. She would never want to say her age. I mean, she was amazing. I love her to death. I mean, she just instilled a lot of great qualities in me, but I would never want to be that person. I'm I want to be proud of my age. Right. And so I think that is beautiful, that you are still getting modeling work in there. I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I mean, there's beauty in all sizes, shapes, and ages, and I'm impressed to see the modeling world embrace more variety. They've learned it's good business. Aviation's doing the same. They're embracing variety and hiring, and it's actually making a better class of pilots and mechanics and everybody else. So, Mother Nature loves diversity. Why shouldn't we?
Yeah.
I'll continue to do that. I am enjoying living in New York. It's exactly as breathlessly exciting as people say it is. But my family's in California, and at some point I probably will need to be mostly back there because my folks are aging. That could actually happen suddenly and quickly if, God forbid, I needed to. So where I live is kind of up in the air, and that'll be fine. I'll address that as it evolves. I am still not married. I am trying to date a little. It's hell out here. But I have lots of other forms of love, a million friends, lots of neighbors, family that hates my past but loves me. That's a grace I don't deserve and cannot repay. I'll continue to be tight with them and
for sure.
Yeah, hopefully stay healthy and happy as I can.
Amen to that. Well, Amy, where can people find you, connect with you, and support you in any way that they can?
Yeah, thanks. I'm Amy Taylor NYC on all the socials. If you want to see magazines I'm on or my nonsense ramblings or get in touch, just say hi.
I will get them for you, put them in the show description so you can connect with her if you have any questions for her, and don't hesitate to reach out or just give her a follow. Amy, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What are you going to leave with us today?
Yeah, just dream bigger. Go ahead and dream bigger. Whatever it is, make it bigger.
I love that. Yeah. Don't stop chasing those dreams and keep dreaming. Well, Amy, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing your passion your story and, talking about something that can be very difficult for people to discuss. So thank you for being brave to do that. We appreciate you.
Likewise, I appreciate that you speak out about your past and that you also aren't hamstrung by it.
Yeah, absolutely not. Hell no, label free here. It took me a long time, but we are label free. You guys, thank you. This is your host, as always. Don't forget to subscribe and keep watching. Every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be bringing you another episode. Until next time, we'll see you then.